We just did a session for a reflector who lives in Romania. So that was awesome. Uh, it was outside my usual hours. Like I usually don't do sessions until like 11. So this was like an early morning session for me, but it was awesome. And yeah, that's all. I see Jenny is here, which is amazing. I always feel like so much more confident when you're in the live, when you're in the chat, Jenny. It's great. So thanks for being here. How are you guys doing this morning? I mean, it's morning for me. May not be morning for you. Oh, and I got a bunch of ants all over my teapot. This is my dragon teapot that I got on Amazon for like $30 when I got really into tea. Um, that's my tea, and I'm gonna be drinking tea this morning. But I'm gonna wash out my teapot real quick. So if you just don't mind me. All right, so we're back, kind of. Just in the process of getting the tea. I just bought some raw honey from a local farmer yesterday in your tea. Nice. Rudy, what's up? If you're joining, tap and like the share. Yes, thank you for that. What's up, everyone? So we are doing our usual, live from Maui, from the bus. I'm going to be drinking tea today, so I'm just kind of setting that up. But this live has been really fun. It's been really. I've been doing this now for 4 weeks, and let's definitely make it a 50K day. If we can, that would be awesome. And I just learned so much from going live, and going live is something that I used to have this idea in my head that going live is going to take a lot of energy from me because of my chart. I'm a reflector, and yeah, I had this idea that lives were going to take a lot of energy, and it definitely does take a lot of energy, but it's not more than any of like my sessions would. It's just a different way. And something that I've learned, and that's become clear, especially with this last session I just did, or the session I just completed with this sweet reflector woman, was like, especially as a third line, like, what part of me wants life to be easier? And what part of me wants to be better? And if I do want to be better, that means that life in a way has to become more challenging, or that life is going to have to challenge me more. So anyway, just some reflector thoughts. Inner guide, your videos help me unblock my sacral chakra. Oh, so much gratitude. Yes, the ego wants life to be easier. So real, big time. Yeah. And it's because it's like when life is how you say, uh I think the part of us that wants life to be easier is that part of our brain that just wants to like automate everything. Like it wants everything to be automated, and like to just be like, oh yeah, we know exactly what to do when this happens. And I find that especially as a reflector, and sometimes people in sessions will ask me like, hey, I have this going on, like I get really overwhelmed by this, and where is any of that in my chart? And while yes, it's in your chart, knowing where it is in your chart doesn't necessarily help you most times, um, because the reality is always going to be like you're going to have to develop a greater level of tolerance and a greater capacity for life. That's what it is. That's what maturing is. Maturing is learning that, like, oh, when life is challenging for me, that's not a problem, because the thing that I'm the best at as a human being is adapting to challenge. Or if I make that the thing that I'm good at, then no matter what challenges come my way, I'm going to be able to adapt and grow from them. So, Jenny, thank you for sharing the live. Guys, if you're enjoying this, or you have friends that you think would enjoy this, like the live, share the live. All of that is, super, super helpful. Naturally is like, we're just kind of free flowing over here, you know, making tea, trying to get some water boiled. So give me a second here for that. Tea is on and boiling. So I'll probably show you guys my tea setup here in a second, because it's kind of cool. This is it. Oh, that's my tea setup. That's my hippo Homa. Just how is it rooted in Kabbalah? Great question. So the Kabbalah, the tree of life, as some of you may know, is essentially like the road that energy takes to be manifested, right? Like moving from the top of like etheric energy to the bottom of like material. So the 36 channels that we see in the body graph are adopted from the Kabbalah. And but essentially, instead of things working from the top down, things work from the top and bottom to the throat. So in the Kabbalah, you have the tree of life, and things manifest from the top through the channels down into the material world. In human design, energy manifests from the pressure of the head and the pressure of the root, moving their way, making their way towards the throat. And so that's where that comes from. And then you combine the Kabbalah and the I Ching, and you get very detailed information about exactly what paths the energy is going to take once it's in the body. And then you overlay the actual structure of the body graph. And then what you can start to discover is like, what ways am I consistently going to process this information? What ways am I consistently going to manifest? Right. And one of the things about nature is nature loves rhythm, nature loves patterns. And so the more that we can become aware of the patterns that we have and not try to change them, but just become aware of them, like the better we can use them, basically. So, what is my sun, moon, and rising? I do not mind, Gabriella. I shall tell you. My sun is actually real quick. Guess, and then I'll tell you. What do you guys think my sun, moon, and rising are? So what about hanging gate 10 that I have? My boyfriend has the 10, 20, 34. So interesting thing. So that's what you would call a compromised channel in a composite. Like if you have the 10 and then your boyfriend has the 10, 20, and the 34, like you have a hanging gate within that. Compromised channels are ones where, as being someone with a hanging gate in them, the the idea that when you're in contact with another person, your sacral and throat and G center will be defined when you're in contact with your partner because they have them defined. That is a conditioning element, meaning that you may, when you're around your partner, feel like your ability to navigate and track your own behaviors, because that's what the 10 is. The 10 is behavior of the self, and it's about like which identity is the real identity or the one that's most successful in interaction for me. By successful, I mean like bringing myself online. So when you have that and your boyfriend has all the other ones, it's a compromise channel, meaning that again, you're going to maybe have energies or the ability to do things that you wouldn't necessarily do if your boyfriend wasn't there. And so you also might seek to impose some of your energy onto them, which again, you're probably doing already. And it's not that it's a bad thing, but you just want to be mindful of how you're doing that. So those compromise channels are definitely places where you want to be extra mindful about the way you do things versus the way the other person does things, and how you can share things, but that things do definitely do resource or start somewhere. Not in Aries. How do you know which center is not active? So the less gate activation or the more channels And the more gates that are in a center, the more active the gate will be. Not a Leo. My ex was gate 10 sun. God. Rising water, moon, earth, sun, fire. Close. Actually, no, all wrong. Sorry. How do you use HG to be successful in any area of your life? So the main way that you can use HG to be successful is I like the meta of it is success for a human being is to like be yourself. Um, Anywhere that human design can help you be yourself, that's successful. The primary way human design helps us be ourselves is to um, help us like figure out the things that are consistent. Like, what are the things that are going to work every single freaking time? Um, and so, like for instance, as a reflector, I don't have something that works every single freaking time, which is like why I do so many different things. And when I do have things that work, I do ride them out for 28-day cycles, and then I'll attempt them for another cycle. And if they're not working, I'm just like, okay, that's how it is. Because nature is also very volatile. So Libra is my moon. I'll give you guys that. Libra is my moon. So I had a reading, and he told me my gate 10 was saying, "Help me love myself, but my boyfriend is too busy." Interesting. Your boyfriend might be too busy for you in the sense that it's like you don't want to be that busy. Like you might be one that might spend more time and energy on loving yourself than he does because of that hanging 10. Maybe that's what we're talking about. I feel like you have Ashwani Nakrashata, the star that falls sidereal in Aries, tropical Taurus. Interesting. Don't know that. So anyway, Alexander is asking, do I track transits daily? So I don't track them daily. I'm not super OCD about it because again, I'm not one to assign too much of anything to one particular thing. Even human design, like I find human design to be it's just one of my tools, but it's definitely one that I see being very versatile, and I've found a lot of success in sharing it with people and teaching it. And so, it's definitely like my forward facing thing. But some things that I do on the regular that are not necessarily um, as like meticulous and technical as human design is like music, which is actually can be very technical and meticulous. Biomechanics, which I guess also can be very technical and yeah, there's a lot of technical and meticulous things in the world, but I enjoy that kind of stuff. I definitely enjoy that kind of stuff. Not Sagittarius Sun. That was my ex's sun sign. um, do you have Taurus main placements? No, no. Um, but biomechanics, music, Reiki, just being out in nature. Like my life is actually really simple, um, even though there are fun little technical, meticulous things. What do you have to say about the RA cross of contagion with split definition? So these are really and I know I say I like specific questions. I'm not going to go too much into the incarnation crosses, primarily because like I don't have them all memorized and I don't know all of them. But it also is like if you want to talk about your incarnation cross or you want to do any like deeper, more specific reading, definitely go to my website and book a session. I would love to connect with you a little bit more deeply on those like specific issues. Um, Also, we only become the crosses secondarily anyways. Right, yeah, it's really primarily it's strategy and authority, and then through strategy and authority your cross then is manifested. What should we know about HD and compatibility? What should we check? So one of the important things to check with compatibility is your electromagnetic and your compromised channels. um, Not because electromagnetic good and compromise is bad, it could sometimes be the other way around. There goes my light. um, which I will get back on in a second here once I finish pouring my tea. Um, but because you want to know where the possible where like the activity is happening, and so in a composite chart, um, your Electromagnetic channels are it's like you have one and then they have the other. Compromise is where you have one, the whole channel, and they have half a channel, or you have half a channel and they have the whole channel. Those are just places where the activity is going to be more lit. So definitely pay attention to that. Pisces is in the big three. You got it. So what do we say? Libra sun or Libra moon, Pisces. Pisces is in there. Definitely. Definitely in there. Um, let's pour some tea. I'm gonna turn you guys so we can all have tea together. Pisces Sun. That's it. That's it. I have a very nice conversation with someone who shares similar gates with me. That's always fun to find people that are like have similar placements, because oftentimes I've found it's like they're totally different people, um, but we think the same, or we have similar experiences even though we have totally different lives. And yeah, that's just always really fun to see, because I don't like that angle. I don't like sitting so close to my desk. Let me just get this out of the way. Just shifting some things around. Don't mind me. Oh boy. How are we doing on battery here? Is my phone gonna die? No, it's full and it's wonderful. How do I know where my moon and my sun are? So in human design, you will have, and actually I could just let me just put this as my background. I'm gonna plug my light back in too. Oh, Jojo. Um, okay, so let's see. I'm gonna put Adrian, hello, my friend. My YouTube crew is so solid. Um, so this is your sun. You probably can't see it in the you guys can't see it on YouTube, unfortunately, but in TikTok here, your sun is the circle with the dot in it. Your earth is the circle with the cross in it, and then your moon is the little moon. So that is how you find it out. And if for anyone that needs a body graph, like you don't know what human design is, just go to my website, or you don't know what your human design is, just go to my website and just plug in your birth information, and it'll spit you out a body graph. That's totally free. There's a lot of information that you can then, if you want to get the information, all you have to do is, there's a couple ways you can do it. You just research it by yourself, but I find that to be very um, not all the sources are good, and also um, not all the sources are like make sense. Sometimes they're just like babbling nonsense. But the best ways to get it are through either the reports that you'll be able to buy on my website after generating your body graph, or you could get this app. This is Neutrino Design. It's the craziest app. And if you want 25% off, just go through the link in my bio, and it's the same app. It's the full app. You're just getting it for a discount because me and the developer are homies. So if you really want to learn about human design, I definitely recommend getting the app, because then you can like get your friends charts and run composites of you and your friends, or you and your partner, or whatever. So there's a lot more features in the app that you can use. And if you just want, like, hey, I just want to learn about my body graph, do that. Get the report. Now, I do have what's called the Reiki report, which has a bunch of techniques on how to embody human design, like things that you can do physically to make human design a thing. And along with the analysis of your body graph, and there's also going to be kind of like an introduction to human design. So if you want an intro to human design, definitely get the Reiki report. So I tried to research the open channels I have from gates 64 through 1. I'd love to know what it means. Interesting. So open channels, like these ones that are not circled in black and have these little um, gates coming out, these are the active channels. The ones that are not circled, those I think is what you're meaning as open gates. We call those undefined gates. Open is actually a term in human design. So undefined centers are these shapes right here. And when there are no active gates in there, we call that an open center. So just as a word of yeah, again, human design is very like meticulous and technical, so it's good to know the verbiage. And that was actually something that I messed up on. I made some videos saying like, oh, if you have an open solar plexus, and my buddy Nathan was like, yo, Marco, just heads up, that's a called undefined. This is an open one. And I'm like, oh, great, thank you for letting me know. I have a tendency to put my foot in my mouth. Oh, that's hot. I love it. So it's a big colored line straight down the middle. Oh, so you have all of this. Super interesting. So all of this in the middle here, this is what we call individual circuitry. So if you have any, like I have some dormant gates in this central column, but if you have all of these, that's like heavy, heavy individual energy. Like Natalie, like you are probably, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're like really different than anyone else. There's probably not going to be anything in particular about, like, there's no phenomenon that like lists that. But what that does mean is that from your head to your root, you're an individual, right? So it might be challenging to fit into like certain tribal scenarios. Like if you're in like a yoga group or a song circle, you might feel like a bit of an outsider, and that may never go away, but that's because you're such an individual. The contrast is so stark. So again, it's one of those things to really just embrace as being an individual. And a lot of the times, like a lot of the celebrities are individuals because on a collective sphere, the collective loves individuals, which is like large mass groups, raving fans, etc. The tribe does not like individuals. This is tribal circuitry. It's these lines, these ones in the middle here, and then everything connected to the heart minus the connection to the G center and the heart. That is individual circuitry. But all of this is tribal circuitry. Boom, boom. These ones in the middle here. Um, with the tribal circuitry, the tribe does not like individuals. The tribe sees individuals as a threat. The tribe does things this way, and if you have a different way of doing things, well, then you must not be a part of the tribe. And so it's challenging for individuals in a lot of ways because tribes is how we survived, right? Tribes is literally how we survived. It's these are the people that fed you because you prayed to the same god type stuff, or that fed you because you were born and you participated in all the rites of passage, etc. um yeah. So also someone asked about like the definitions again of this. So this is an undefined center, right? Because it's white, but it has some dormant gates in it. An open center would be white and will not have any gate activation in there. So it won't have that and it won't have that. Pure white center. No activation at all. um Share my thoughts on quad right. Yeah, so quad right, and it's these variables that's up here. I definitely recommend people get the app or buy the report to learn about these, because if I start speaking about them and you don't have like your strategy and authority down, these can become a little bit disorienting. So but essentially quad right beings are like, dude, you're in the flow, be in the flow. When people try and put structure on you, like when you compare yourself to other people, how they find success through structure, you're going to be that person that people are like, I have no idea how they make it happen, but they make it happen. They're just in a flow state. Manifester is manifester is it's like you're here to like put your energy into the world, and you're constantly doing that. You're constantly manifesting one of your energy centers. There are four of them: solar plexus, heart, sacral, root. Four centers that are provide us energy. And when they're connected to the throat, minus the sacral, because if you have the sacral online and you have that to the throat, you're manifesting generator. But when it's connected to the throat, it creates what's called a repelling aura, meaning that it's you're constant like you're in a pool and just like constantly splashing, constantly making waves. So the strategy of informing people is like you are the 9%, 10% of the world that actually is here to um, initiate things and start things. And like you see something needs to get done, go make it happen. Because if you sit on your hands and you wait, unfortunately, not a lot of things are going to happen for you. How do you know human design is correct? So I know personally that human design is correct for me because I've experimented for 9 years with human design. Um, and pretty much human design has always been helpful. Um, you're welcome, Khan. If you guys are enjoying this live, by the way, we're trying to get this number up to 50K. Jenny said it. And so I'm going to stretch it. It feels like a reach right now. We're only at 8K. But if you guys wouldn't mind tapping the screen or sharing the live, that would be awesome. But anyway, working on the like experimenting with human design is how I know human design is correct. Watching people experiment with human design is how I know it's correct. Ultimately, I was super skeptical about human design and just I'm a skeptical person in general. I'm very open, and you can talk to me and you won't know that I'm a skeptic, but you'll know when I start asking questions and start trying to break the thing. And so I've tried to break human design so many times and I just can't do it. And so I've resolved to like, oh yeah, this is legit. Plus also I've had so many good experiences, like true experiences with human design where it's been incredibly helpful. What do you think about shadow working on your conditioned not self? So this is a very interesting concept that I think human design has a lot of value for people, especially if you come from a background like I do, where we work on healing. My skepticism, does it appear in my chart? Not necessarily. Like this is my chart. I think maybe the 48, definitely I'm a little skeptical about things being like surface level BS. I'm definitely this 47 is very oppressive in the sense of like if my mind can't like pin it down and make sense of the way that it got here, there's something that about that. So progress, it's like if it doesn't help me progress, it's not valid pretty much everywhere. Like I can relate anything to anything on the body graph. That's how like um how you say um all encompassing this is. Like I can find my skepticism anywhere. Fellowship right there. Like I'm skeptical. How you say I'm open to people, but I'm very skeptical about who I bring in really close because of that gate. 31 leadership. I'm open to leadership, but I'm very skeptical about my own ability to lead because if I see that somebody else is better suited to lead, I'm going to try to defer leadership to them. So anyway, you can again, you can relate anything to anything on the body graph. That's not what makes human design so good. What makes human design so good is having something to relate it to. Because up until human design, it was just like, oh yeah, their energy is kind of like squishy and all that. As opposed to like, oh, their energy is this. Readings right now are about 100 I think 177. And if you want to get a reading from me, you're invited to, more than welcome. Just click the link in my bio, or if you go to my website, reikimarco.com, and you can book a session there. My calendar is on there. So, Rudy, I can't tell you about your incarnation cross on this live. Those, certain things are a little bit more, what do you call it? Personal. And if we are going to talk about incarnation crosses and how to get there, um, I'd like to be in like an actual one-on-one. So I'm in Maui, Celia. I remember you asked about where I'm at. So I'm on Maui. So Hawaii Standard Time. I think that's GM minus. I forget which one it is. I'm in Hawaii though. Yeah, and thank you guys for the likes. We're already at 11K. This is crazy. So if you guys are enjoying this, like the lives. If you can share it, please share it. Because my mission really is like, I just want everyone to at least have a chance to learn about this. Like it's a massive system. Eth, eth, etheri, eth, Athrasis, thank you for sharing the live. This is a massive system, human design. But really, if you just focus on two things, and I'll talk about projectors in a second here, Zanetta. If you focus on strategy and authority, that will give you the foundation to do everything you need, right? And so projectors, for instance, their strategy is Thank you, Rudy. Appreciate you, bro. The um the strategy for a projector and the strategies in general are based off people's aura. So they're based off of the electromagnetic field, the bioplasma field, right? The energy around you. A projector has what we would call an absorbing and focusing aura or a penetrating aura. Um, for real though, if we were taught this instead of the education system, it would be nuts. And actually, one of the things that got me to have my spiritual awakening was learning about the actual education system that we have, which I will probably rant on after I talk about projectors. So the strategy for a projector is to wait for an invitation. One of the signature hallmarks of a projector is that they do not have a sacral, but they will have some other kind of connection, not an energy center to the throat, but maybe something over here or something over here. So no sacral and no energy centers connecting to the throat, because that would then make them a manifester. The strategy with the projector is to wait for an invitation. Why do you wait for an invitation? The invitation is so important because it lets people know and it lets you know whether or not that individual recognizes you. So, as a projector, one of the questions that you're going to ask is who actually sees me and who is just looking for anyone. There's a lot of people that are just looking for anyone, right? I'm just looking for a friend. I'm just looking for a partner. Very few people are going to recognize you and be like, I'm looking for you. That's what the invitation is to help, right? For generators, it doesn't matter that much. For generators, they have a defined sacral, meaning essentially that there's a part of them. Manifesting generators have this too. The sacral right here, a defined sacral. This is an undefined sacral. So when yours is colored in, the defined sacral lets you know in an instant whether or not something is for you or not. It goes, that's me. I want that. I want that inside me, or I want to be inside that, or get that away from me. Ew, gross. For people with undefined sacrals, that's projectors, manifestors, and reflectors. Those sacral responses are not always accurate for us. Whereas with generators, they're generally like 99% of the time they work every time. That's a line from Anchorman. But anyway, yeah, so I hope that gives you some more clarity. As a projector, one of the most powerful things you can do is just like say no to everything until you find people that like truly you feel seen by. And you don't, and the best thing you can do is not try and change your friends and make them see more of you. The best thing you can do is just realize how valuable you are, withdraw from the world a little bit, do things that are important to you, and then while you're out and about, people are going to invite you to things because wow, that girl just comes here every week and she's so stoked on like the pottery or the dance class or the concerts, but she's like never with anyone. Why is that? I am going to, is that a wasp? What's up, buddy? You trying to get in here, huh? I've been having like wasps always trying to get into my bus, which is really interesting. As a projector, I needed to hear this. I am happy. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. What's my opinion on the term energy projector? So the energy projectors are classified by beings that have one of their energy centers active. So no sacral, but maybe you have the solar plexus and the root. That would be an energy projector because these are the energy centers right here. Or do they call them motors also in human design? Um, but yeah, if you love projectors, tap the screen. Tap the screen if you love projectors. Guru. So if you have that defined, you're a generator. If that's defined and one of these motors are connected to the throat, you're a manifesting generator. If you have the 3420 channel, that is like the manifesting generator. And the difference, real quick, between manifesting generators and generators is it's really like a momentum thing. So it's like, so sacral and throat defined, that's a manifesting generator. Um, but the difference between manifesting generators and generators is really about, it's kind of like acceleration, really, not necessarily just speed. Because a manifesting generator, their torque is better. Like a manifesting generator can get a sacral impulse, start the thing, and go with it. The generator might need to get the sacral hit a couple times before the engine actually turns over, and then they can go. But a manifesting generator is like, boom, pow. So it's a lot, the acceleration. It's not necessarily about top speed, it's about acceleration. Now, the generator, typically they tend to be people that are, once they do get going, their momentum is a lot stronger. They're not going to change directions as much usually, which can also be a fault of, like, sometimes generators will just keep generating on something even though they really need to change directions, but they don't because it's harder for them. Whereas the manifesting generator, one of their how you say downfalls could be changing directions too much. Boom, starting this way, and then boom, starting this way, and then boom, starting this way. But there's nothing wrong with that. If you have the right people around you, essentially, hopefully, with a generator that builds the momentum, they will have people around them that will help them adjust, right? The manifesting generator, hopefully, ideally, will have people around them that will either finish their projects or help temper their the things that they're responding to. So, and again, as well, if you don't resonate with your chart, one of the things that you have to understand is, like, that's not a problem. That's not a problem for human design. That's not even a problem for you. Because if you don't resonate with your chart, it simply means that you're not living like according to your nature. You're not living according to the imprint that was given to you at birth. And again, that's not a problem. The problem is if you are recognize that and acknowledge that, and then you don't do anything about it, right? Because the idea is that, like, human design is going to help us surrender to the physical forms that we have, not try and change who we are, but give us an opportunity and give us a framework and a language and a map to explore, well, what is that nature? And sometimes it takes months, but eventually your chart, like, I look at my chart and I'm like, oh yes, that is the closest anything has gotten to describing me ever. At the beginning I was like, I don't know, I have a lot of energy, I like to talk a lot. But now that I'm like 9 years into this, I look at this and I'm like, I can't even envision something describing me better than this. But it's because I took the time to experiment first. I tried to break this thing, tried to break my body graph, and it didn't work. I just ended up believing more in human design. So, manifestor big time. Yeah, Tally, I love it. Love from Australia. Choco, hello. I have a session with a New Zealander later, and I'm really excited because I love that accent. I'm a manifesting generator. That's what's up. So, one of the things that I do on my page a lot, and if you're new to the live, what's up? I'm talking about human design. What's up, Frogger from the Netherlands? But one of the things I do a lot is called sacral calibrations, and I'll do one right now just so you can explain it. So it's an exercise. All you have to do to participate is just make some sounds. Go or or um. That was a response right there. I was like, lemonade, I'm hot. So I'm going to do it right now. So I'm going to ask some questions, and you, wherever you are, you can do it quietly, but do your best not to, like, think about the answers, but just respond with sounds. Okay. So take a breath, exhale. Do you want to put your hand on your stomach? Did you put your hand on your stomach? Do you have a lot of energy? Do you like caffeine? Do you feel happy? Do you love yourself? Are you excited about your day? Do you know what your body graph looks like? All right, that's the end of that. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Well done. So for those of you that participated and you were using the sounds, a couple things are going to happen, right? You are either going to, like, be able to make the sounds and it will be effortless, or there will be some kind of resistance. Like, you'll say yes or say no or think about your answers. And none of them are wrong. You also might, yeah, you also might go, like, I'm not really sure. Chivy, thank you so much for sharing the live. I couldn't use the sounds. I just replied with yes or no. So that might happen. So for the beings that have undefined sacrals, this is projectors, manifestors, and reflectors. You might experience a little bit more of a challenge summoning those ahas and ahas. Rightfully so, because you cannot trust those ahas and ahas. What you can trust is that those ahas and ahas come from somewhere. They might be coming from your body. They might also be an echo or a sample from somebody else, especially if you have a partner and you guys are doing the sexy time, and you're sleeping in the same bed a lot. Definitely, you will have some of the things that satisfy them coming through your gut and your throat. And so, if your center is red and colored in, that's defined. That means you're a generator or a manifesting generator. And for you, you're supposed to follow those sounds, right? Unless you're in an emotional wave, like unless you're just like super all over the place emotionally, you're supposed to listen to those ahas and ahs and just follow them. Now, they might not make sense in the head, right? But if you're a generator or a manifesting generator, you follow them. So, how do you know if certain things are blocked? Essentially, you try to send energy through them, and if energy doesn't go through them, they're blocked. Now, that's not a problem though, because certain blocks are there naturally. What you want to discover is where are the unnatural blocks. Like for instance, do I can't like my range of motion stops here, and that prevents me from compromising the integrity of my body. So when you have blockages, they're not always bad. Sometimes they're there to preserve the integrity of your body. Now if my range of motion only went to here, there would be a block that I could consider bad, that all I need to do is just pay attention to it, right? All I need to do is look at the block, figure out essentially what the block is asking for and what it's protecting me from, and then incorporate the structures to support the releasing of that block, which is like if you have a guard at a gate and you tell the guard, protect this gate, anyone that comes in, I'm going to attack as the guard. So what you want to be able to do is tell the guard, hey, guard, we've installed a stronger gate. We don't need you to be there anymore. So you can leave now. That's how you treat a blockage, is you have to give something to the blockage that like basically makes the blockage obsolete. Anyway, can I move energy elsewhere? I don't want to mind to be my throat. Very interesting. Um, Unfortunately, no. If your blockage is in your throat, the only way to unblock your throat is to like take a singing class, or sometimes people's blockages in their throat actually manifest as them talking too much. So be mindful of like some blockages is like for instance, and if you send energy through the throat and it like how you say, you end up like it ends up amplifying it too much, I could consider that a block as well. So this is the first time I've ever heard this said, and it's truly beautiful. Connor, thank you for asking the question. How can I tell where my blockage is? So again, with blockages, what you're looking at is kind of like how they have limiters on cars. Like your car will not go over a certain speed, because once you go over a certain speed, not only is it dangerous for the driver, but the engine might also blow up. And human beings, we have like imposed limiters. Most of them are like natural. Like when you have adrenaline rushes, you can access more strength than usual. However, over time that degrades the body. And if you look at bodybuilders, unfortunately, and I respect bodybuilders so much, but unfortunately, when you're pushing yourself to the max too much, like you really degrade the body. It's not the body is not designed to be under the amount of stress as sometimes the people in the gym do. Um, how many colors is it normal to have colored in? So there's no normal in human design. Like I have none of mine colored in, right? I have a friend who has all of them colored in. And again, it's about your uniqueness. And so, Rudy, the chakra principles do apply. So that's the root, which is the root chakra. That's the sacral, which is the sacral chakra. The solar plexus and the spleen, in my opinion, are kind of like the solar plexus chakra together. Then you have the heart chakra right here, which in human design we have 9 centers. Chakra system has 7 centers. The monopole, the G center, this is like the etheric heart chakra. This is like the energy heart chakra. The heart or the ego in human design, this is like the material heart chakra. This is in the Hindu sense, you know, The heart chakra is one that's like compassion and connection. So this is the metaphysical version of that heart chakra. This is the manifestation of that heart chakra in the physical world, having resources, sharing resources, etc. That's the throat, that's the third eye, and that's the crown. So yes, Connor. Okay, so great question, and great line of questioning, because I want to help you shift it. You know, um, you can get a chart first of all on my website, which is reikimarco.com. Link is also in my bio. Um, and your chart never changes throughout your life. So everything is going to be on top of your chart, like composites, transits, and stuff like that. But your chart will never change. This once you are born, your chart is established. Your genetic sequence has been written, and that's what it'll be. Um, so you can either again suppress certain things, or you can allow yourself to be yourself, which is ideally what we want. In terms of personality, really quick, um personality in human design is everything on this side. It's your mind. It's probably what most people would associate to the ego is, yes, going to be the personality side, which is your mind. You don't want to ignore the mind. Your vehicle, which is your physical body, contains your mind, right? And if you are, what human design does is it teaches us how to be the driver. So we're not the vehicle, we're not the passenger. The passenger is the mind, the vehicle is the body. The driver, we are the driver. We are the thing steering the ship. And so what we want to do is take care of the vehicle and make sure that the mind isn't ignoring the vehicle, and vice versa. Make sure the vehicle isn't ignoring the mind, because it's not a work or what do you say, you're not transporting slaves. You're transporting your mind, which deserves to, like, have water when it needs it, like the music, make sure the temperature is good. Speaking of which, I'm going to open up one of these doors because it's getting hot in here. And we're back. Um, so I have asthma too, and I don't know why. Interesting. So there is this branch of human design called PHS, which might be able to explain your asthma. Like, it might be a genetic thing. I can't say. I'm not trained in that system. Um, but there is a way. If you look for, it's called primary health systems, and it's a super in-depth system. I have yet to like start cracking at it, just because I'm cracking about a bunch of other stuff. Gate 48 is the gate of depth. So it's the fear that something is faking or lacking depth. And I have it as well. But it might be related to the throat. A lot of the times, like asthma, trouble breathing, sleep apnea, sore throats, tonsil stones, a lot of that is usually because of conditioning in the throat. So there's like a way that we're supposed to speak. And by way that we're supposed to speak, I mean, like, for me, having an undefined throat, I am going to be, my voice is going to be tailored by details. That's 62, progress, gathering and delivering information, and influence. So when I'm speaking, one of the things that I look for is, like, which of these gates am I speaking from? And then also, is a space being created for me to speak, or am I forcing a space? That's another thing that I look at as well, because especially having as much openness as I have here, you could imagine I get a lot of, like, I know what people's problems are. I feel what people are feeling, emotionally as well. I know what people want in terms of achievements. I can tell when people are moving in the wrong direction, but they think they're moving in the right direction. Um, and so it's one of those things where, I really have a lot to say, a lot, but I am definitely learning. Even still, I'm 9 years in, I'm still learning how to, like, wait for my time to speak, right? Do I go in depth in every number on a different platform, or no? So I don't. These lives are more so for, like, exposure, and just kind of like really to, like, get you interested, because when it comes to, like, going in depth on every number, that's not even something that I do in my sessions, because going in depth on every number is like, you can look at a report, you can get one of my reports, and it will go in depth on every number. You can read about it. The beauty of human design is that even if you know all of your numbers, the beauty is that you have to develop the ability to track your own patterns. This is the value of human design, is to be able to self-reflect, is to become aware of yourself or aware of your quote unquote blockages. And in one of the things that human design as well does that I love is like we're not looking to like remove our blockages, because again, some of these blockages are here to keep us from destroying ourselves, right? But what we want to do is become aware of what the blockages are, what exactly they're blocking, and then why we see that as a problem, because 90% of the time it's not the blockage that's the problem, it's what we think about the blockage that's the problem. Like, for instance, if you have a blockage in your throat, you can't say the things that you need to say. The blockage in your throat is not the problem. What the problem is how did that blockage get installed? Were you subjecting yourself to people that would physically harm you if you spoke up and said the things that you wanted to say? Okay, great. That's why the blockage is there. It's not because of some number in your chart. It's because you have to learn how to track yourself and become a little bit more self-aware, and then make decisions for yourself that are healthy for yourself. So for instance, again, if you have a blockage in the throat and it's there because every time you used to speak up, it would like, you would get hurt, your blockage is helping you. And so healing that blockage is not about, oh, we got to get this out. We got to drink ayahuasca. We got to do combo. We got to do yoga train. We got to get this out. It's not like that. It's more like, oh, let me reflect on all of those moments and let me feel some of the things that's emotional. Let me feel some of the things that I didn't have an opportunity to feel because, again, the environment wasn't safe or ABCD, dot, dot, dot. When you actually give yourself permission to do that and like, you know, like cry the tears that your inner child didn't cry, channel the anger that your inner child didn't get to channel. Like you have to let these things move through your body, because the blockage will dissolve as a result of you being more loving and accepting of the fact that there is a blockage. Most people are just like, oh, there's a blockage, I need to get rid of it. Oh, I need to heal this thing. I'm working on healing this thing. Fall in love with the process of healing, because once you're healed, there's going to be another fucking thing for you to heal. So learn to fall in love with the process of it, my friends. It's so much more enjoyable too. I've always been described as very quiet, even though I have a defined throat. Could that be because the only gate I have active is gate 12, which is gate of caution? Definitely makes sense, Adrian. um and also the defined throat is one that like knows when to speak typically, or knows when not to speak. Enjoy the journey. That was a fun channeling. So your throat seems to clear your voice too as well, I would say. um One of the things that human beings in general, whether you have a defined throat or undefined throat, what you need to do, and by need I mean like, unless you are singing and you know what it's like, what it feels like to like really be singing to the point where you're like maybe out of breath. Because if for anyone that has like that sings, that knows, the difference between like singing and pushing the song through and like really singing, and just like, you know I just want to, like not really putting a lot of effort into it. Human beings, like we're instruments, we're supposed to make noise, we're supposed to sing. But if you don't practice any of that, like those they get cobwebs. There's a lot of energy that gets blocked up in there. Jen, I'm super grateful you found the live. Connor too, thank you. Leo, what's up? Roro Riley, could you please tell me what my purpose is? So we're not going to talk too much about incarnation crosses. That will be in your report. That is also in the app Neutrino Design. Um, it just I just don't want it to turn into like a bunch of incarnation crosses things. So when you get stressed, does your voice change? Personally, yes. Depending on, usually like when I'm stressed out, when there's a lot of stimulus, I will typically tend to talk faster, which sometimes happens here on TikTok. So it's like mindfulness of like what the actual pacing of my voice is. Like I'm becoming self-aware of it now. But it's also like when I get excited, which sometimes stress is exciting, right? Do you include a copy of the report if you do a one-on-one? Yes. So you will get a copy of the Reiki report, which has like my introduction to human design and all of my techniques in there. When you get a report, it will do that for you. We got to heat this water up because the tea is getting cool. What does the so there's no like, it's either halfway or this is halfway and that's halfway and it's a full channel. So the lengths of the lines don't mean anything. Good question. If it's red, it means it's from this side of the body graph, which is your design. This is your unconscious self. Subtle difference between unconscious and subconscious. Unconscious means you're completely unaware of it. Subconscious means at one point you were conscious of it and then it became unconscious. Means you installed it. I put it in my subconscious. Unconscious is like your heart beating is unconscious. So if I order the Reiki report, what is that? So the Reiki report will give you a full analysis of your body graph, all of your gates and channels. It'll talk to you about your variables, your strategy, tell you about your incarnation cross. It gives you everything. The Reiki report also includes an introduction to human design by me, and then also like the techniques that I think are important for you to do. So it's basically like the intro to human design, and then also the embodiment techniques. Do I care about materials or not? I don't. What do you mean by materials, Huki? Yes, you can subconsciously forget, but still have blocks affecting me. Totally. And that's another thing that, like, in the New Age community, they've almost glorified the healing process. Look, oh, I've completely healed my narcissism. Super narcissistic fucking thing to say. Or like, oh, I've completely healed my sexuality wound, and now I can have sex with anyone, and it doesn't affect me. It's like most of them are full of shit. Do I care about materials? I do care about materials. Like, the heart definitely cares about materials because we live in a physical universe. Now, I don't care about materials in the sense that, like, I need the best car, I need the best how you say house or any of that stuff. Like, I live in a bus, I have a car from 2004, I've got like a old truck, and my house is literally slanted. Because, and it's not to say that I wouldn't want better things, but I realize, like, I can do a lot with what I have, and if I'm not willing to do a lot and still deliver my message and be who I am with what I have, why do I deserve more? That's how I say. What advice do I have projectors? Projectors, take up some kind of like healthy habit, like drinking tea or doing some kind of morning routine, and definitely like be very willing to do things alone that you like and not need anybody else. If you have Scorpio North Node, I actually don't know what constellation is in my North Node. Yeah. Most gurus from the internet, they are not spiritual. They copy things from cliches from Facebook. Yeah, totally. Most people that put themselves as an authority on social media are not actually an authority anywhere. That's why they have to do it in social media. Like, before I became like your human design best friend forever, I was Reiki Marco. I was literally traveling the world doing healing work on like multimillionaires and sometimes billionaires, like people that own islands and jets and stuff like that. That was actually one of the things that I felt like was very uh uh, I guess you could say, like, gave me permission to come and do human design, because that entire time I was using human design and I was helping these people, but I was doing it with Reiki. And so yeah. So yeah, so if anyone, again, you need body graphs, you want to report, you want to do a session, the session comes with the bot with the report. All of that is available on my website, and I highly recommend everyone gets this app as well, Neutrino Design, especially if you're looking to like make friends. Because if you guys can see this up here, which, holy crap, we're at 25,000, we're halfway there. Let's go. Let's go to 50, guys. Let's go to 50K. We can do it. That feature in the app will connect you with people every week. It'll connect you with a new person based off of your body graph. And you can be like, I want to find projectors to help me in business, or I want to find a manifester to be romantic with, or I want to find a reflector friend, and it'll cater. So yeah, it's awesome, guys. It's really good. But yeah, for the projectors, like I was saying, is like, be willing to do stuff alone. Like, the app is called Neutrino Design, but if you go through my website, you can get 25% off the subscription, and it's the same app. It's the full app. It's just, you just get a deal because me and the developer are good friends. Made one new friend. I'm a reflector and met another reflector. Amazing, so cool. My report said that I should wait to be asked to talk. I struggle with that. Any advice? Have a notebook, like carry around a notebook that's like your overflow, And when you're thinking about talking, instead of talking, just start writing. Because it just because you're not you're supposed to wait to talk doesn't mean that you have to like keep it all in. I just checked this out and I'll get a reading soon, but Chili, there's a lot going on in my upper three. These guys, yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, Black Girl Cheryl, try that out because that's something that I find really helpful because, really talking and manifesting something, yeah, it's really just about getting it out of your body. And so, for instance, like when you write something down, you might get clarity around like, oh, I definitely don't want to say that out loud. Or like, I do want to say that out loud, but not yet, right? I'm going to wait for someone to ask me about it. Emotional Man Gen 3-6 here. What a ride. Big time, Kim. So solar plexus is where the emotional center is. Anybody with solar plexus definition, definitely uh, one of the things that you're really here to learn is patience. Like the solar plexus, the emotional waves that we all go through, even if you have an undefined solar plexus like me, we all go through emotional waves. Defined solar plexus people usually go through more of them, or they're more consistent, or they're more intense. Whereas for me, I have some very intense emotional waves, but generally speaking, I don't really feel as much emotion. Definitely not as much as some of my other friends, but I do have emotions. But emotions are here to teach us patience. They're also here to help us confront the. They're here to help us confront the truth. Um, yes. Wait, you're Frog, New Zealand? No, I'm not from New Zealand. I'm on Maui right now. But what's up, Trev? Welcome. We're talking about human design. For anyone that doesn't have their body graph already, you can get one for free on my website, reikimarco.com. Hello from the 5-1 splenic manifesta. Hello. What does the color green mean when it's on your third eye? Oh, so when that one is defined, it's the color is green. The colors of the body graph don't actually have like a really like when these centers are colored in, and I can show you guys what I mean. Let's switch body graphs. Like for instance, like this one is yellow because it's the G center. That one is red because it's the sacral. These are brown because they're brown. Like there's not really a category for that, which is, or at least I haven't discovered it. And people have asked Rob before, and it's just kind of one of those like, oh, I guess I was too busy like figuring out everything else to like color these correctly. Which I'm again not really sure because it's like these are the awareness centers and they're brown, and that is the G center, or sorry, the ajna, and that's green when it's colored in. And so, yeah. So these arrows are definitely very important. I would recommend for anybody that is, they talk to us about like our motivation in life and our trajectory and how we kind of like more like how you say can mentally process things. And so I recommend for people that want to learn about the variables, they're a little bit more advanced in the sense that like if you don't have your basic um, how you say strategy and authority down, these variables are not going to help you. And it's not because they're too advanced and you won't understand it. It's just because this is a hierarchy, right? It's like in order to run, right, you have to know how to like use your legs. In order to jump, right, you have to have your leg muscles developed. In order to like hit a target at far distance, you have to be able to hit the target at a close distance. Like there's basic mechanics that the body graph shows you that will unlock the arrows, foundational skills that will unlock the arrows. And so if you get my reports, there's information on the arrows, but I'm unfortunately not going to go into those today. What are the circled things representing? What circled things are you talking about? Sweden, what's up? Welcome. That was a funny what's up. Reflector, and I had a reading and also bought your report. So much help with my procrastination. Eliza, yes, this is how we do it. Is it basically manifesting energies in a fem or masculine way? So people have said that. That is like unfortunately it's a gross understatement. Like there's so much more to these arrows than like this quad left, right? This is more than like, oh, you manifest in a more masculine way, whereas quad right would be like you manifest in a more feminine way. There's a lot more that is part of it, but it's like there's definitely a lot more to it than that. um And essentially, it's like environment, digestion, view, and perspective. But again, this, unless you have this, then you are unfortunately these won't be available to you to use. What are my thoughts on gate 16? So my buddy, this is my buddy. I think is this Pasha? Yeah, this is Pasha. Um, so my buddy has gate 16, and gate 16 is about power skills, but really it's about like collecting skills. So if you're the type of person that likes to take courses and learn things, that's probably because it helps you to essentially feel more equipped and being able to be like, yes, I've learned that skill, or no, I haven't learned that skill. This also is going to help you like pick the right skills, although you may not necessarily know why you're picking those skills. 48 is the depth, that is kind of like, oh, I'm learning this skill because of this reason. You might just be interested in the skill, or for this person, they might just get the like they see it and they're like, ooh, I want to do that. What tea am I drinking? I am drinking some pu'er, which is just like Chinese black tea. High caffeine count, very mineralizing, and it's also really fun to pour. Like I have this tiny little cup. I remember one time someone on live is like, "Is your cup just never ending, or how much tea is in that cup?" And it's like, "Oh, I've been pouring off screen." So interesting. And yeah, this is for someone out there on YouTube. This is wildly interesting for a manifester who is underachieving. One of the things about manifestors is in terms of like a signature for a manifester, the manifestor's signature is peace. And what we're moving towards is less like leaders at like a podium or at the front of a church, and more like people knowing how to lead themselves. And so we're moving into a world that is the need for manifestors is going down. The desire for projectors is actually going up, because the the uh, uh, the ability for people to be able to guide themselves rather than being initiated upon is going up. Basically, sovereignty. Each individual will have their own sovereignty of over themselves, as opposed to having manifestors having sovereignty. So for manifestor, if you're a manifestor, the achievement that I project you ought to be reaching for is finding your pasture. Where can you find the most peace? Where can you find a group of people where they receive your initiations and you're initiating on them, you bring them into your life, but like, where is your pasture of peace? Every manifester ought to be thinking about that. um on the advanced side, what does the variables mean? So the variables are they're basically revealing underlying currents of the entire body graph. So for instance, in the body graph you have the gates 60, and then the line of the gate 60.3, which is like there's a 60.1, 60.2, 60.3, 60.4, 60.5, 60.6. But underneath the line, there's colors. Underneath the colors, there's tone. Underneath the tones, there's bases, right? So there's like, again, like you can keep zooming in on human design, and these variables help us to make sense of the super zoomed in thing. But like I was saying, you really want to take into account, and all of this information is again in your reports. It is going to be here on the app, so you can learn about it. But I don't talk about it too specifically, because if you don't have this dialed in, then again, you won't even be able to like make use of any of this information. That goes for all of the gates as well. If you don't have your strategy and authority dialed in, you can't make use of any of this information. It's just like a mental kind of like wank off, basically. Why would mine be different on a different website? My unconscious is 33 on one side and 55 on the other. So Alexandra, if you are using my website, we use 24-hour time. So if you're like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 p.m., that's going to show up as 1400, or 14 as the hour. That might be why your thing is different. That like one website is 12-hour, AM, PM. The other one is 24 hours. So just be mindful of that. There are also human design calculators out there that are just wrong. Like the calculations that people have done are just wrong. They don't actually calculate. They're calculating something else. So this is why I say use my website, use Neutrino Design, because there are literally human design calculators out there where they're just not right. Right. So is it true that projectors don't have sexual energy, that it's all about the other? Not true, Celia. projectors definitely have their own sexual energy. However, they are going to experience that sexual energy tandem with other people's sexual energy. And sometimes, like if you're a projector in a relationship with this person, you're probably going to feel their emotions and their sexual energy more than maybe even your own, especially if you're sharing the same bed every night. To which, my warning, if you love someone, do not sleep in the same bed as them every single night. You can do it a couple nights out of the week, but we should be sleeping in our own beds. That's time for us to rest and rejuvenate. That's not quality time that you're spending with someone if you sleep in the same bed. Kermit the Frog, baby. And we are getting zooted off this tea. All right, guys. So I do have to give the warning. It's it's 10:14 here, and I got to get ready for another session pretty soon. So I don't think we're gonna make it to 50K here. We're at 31K. Unless you guys just absolutely go insane for the last, like, 10, 15 minutes, we might be able to get that 31 up to 50, which would be cool. I know Jenny would be stoked. But if we can get that up, that would be awesome. To get to 50 before the end, just because we said we would. But yeah. So Celia, you got 3 kids sleeping in your bed. So this is one area where I make the exception. Co-sleeping for parents, especially for mothers. I think it's important for children to sleep in the same bed as the parent for the first couple years, and then get your own bed. Um, and then 11 and 17, or 17 and 11. So 17 is up there. That's the anxiety that you need facts to back up your opinion, and it will like fuel your mind to go get facts. 11 is the anxiety that you need, like new stimulating ideas, so it will help you strategize ways to get new ideas or to make things more stimulating. Now if you have those and you are anxious about facts, or you are anxious about stimulation and new ideas, anxiety is not an unnatural thing. Anxiety is a totally normal thing. Now, too much anxiety is simply a result of being up here more than you are in here. Like, we manifested and we were born into physical bodies. We use the mind to help us understand the world around us. But when it comes to living in the bodies, like, look how many centers there are below the neck as opposed to above the neck, right? And most of the reason why people cannot drop out of their mind and into their bodies is because their necks are too thin and their necks are too weak. So, for anyone that wants to train their neck, you can literally, like, watch. See how much wider my neck gets? The veins here open up. Width and depth of the neck. You want to make your neck stronger, which I have a another platform called the Archive, which is a subscription platform. It's $11 a month, super affordable, but it will teach you how to make your neck wider, how to make your eyes bigger, so, and also how to, like, get your mechanics right, and also help to remove any, like, physical trauma that's in the body. And they're all just like video sequences that will just kind of like show you how to do all this stuff. Are all charts the same? When I use your app, I get different. So, Chris, you might be entering your birth time wrong. On my website, the birth time, the time goes in 24-hour time. So if you're like 4 o'clock, it's 16, not 4. So that's probably the reason. But also, some generators are just wrong. Some websites do the calculations wrong. I know this one is right because it's the same as when I will generate it on, like, the Jovian Archive website, which is like the source of human design. And also, the people working on this project like worked hand in hand with Ra, and so they know how he did those calculations, and they influenced this app quite a bit. So my website is reikimarco.com. Guys, we're at 40K. We can totally hit 50K. This is insane. Um, you guys are the best. We're definitely going to hit 50K. I already know. We're going to hit 50K. Thank you, guys. This means a lot. Jenny, I know. I was like, I got to trust in my man, Jens. And that's the beauty of human design too, is it's like I grew up playing video games. I still play video games now and then. And one of my most favorite things about video games, one of my most favorite things is building a team. And it's specifically like in like fantasy RPGs. It's like, you got the warrior, you got the rogue, you got the healer, you got the wizard, you've got the guy that makes bombs. And there's all this, like, in order to get the mission done, sometimes you need more mages. Sometimes you need more warriors. And with human design, it's like you get a class. You get a class. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, they're like, I don't like the class that I am. And it's like, well, because you haven't spent time developing the class that you are, so you have basic skills. But once you start to develop the class that you're born as, then you get these really freaking cool skills. So anyway, and just as just for fun, let's just do it. Um, so manifestors, I'm gonna say manifestors are more like rangers, that have like the ability to like buff their teammates, so they can like put a flag down, and anyone standing within the radius of that flag gets superpowers. That's all like initiating an energy. Um, Generators are gonna be like my warriors, right? Tanks, high defense, they can take a lot of damage, they have a lot of momentum, and they can just break the enemy lines. Manifesting generators are going to be my rogues, which are how you say, they're more agile, they have more focus on movement and the ability to position themselves correctly, and sometimes deliver the killing blow. um, Projectors are going to be, I'm going to say projectors are more so like, definitely like, monk healer types. Definitely not like, how you say, warriors. Although they can be warriors like battle mage for sure, but definitely more like, ranged attacks. And then similar to the manifester, they're going to be able to use like buffs, like give this person plus 10 attack, that kind of stuff. Reflectors are going to be, did we do it? We freaking did it. We did it, guys. You guys are the absolute best. Woodland elf projector, also like ranger type, definitely. So, and you'll notice it's like sacral is very like doing, like, right? Generators and manifesting generators, warriors and rogues, they're like up in it. Manifestors, projectors, reflectors, further back, ranged attacks, typically. We freaking did it. Yes. Yes. And Jenny with I'm tapping like crazy over. Thank you guys so much. I super appreciate y'all. Guru, I'll get to that in a minute. Let me finish with the RPG thing, because this is like my favorite thing to talk about, honestly, when it comes to human design. So with the reflector, this is how I view the reflector. Reflector is like essentially a strategist, right? Like, hey, this is what's going on. We need to move our people here, or we need to like pull back a little bit. But reflectors are also ones, if we're looking at it in an RPG perspective, they're also able to like basically remove status things from other people. Right. So if like someone is fighting and they get poisoned, reflector is like the wizard that's like, all right, no more poisoning for you. And also, here's some buffs. But anyway, that's my like uh game thing. Yeah, I'm trying to become a game designer. That's awesome. I actually, one of my dreams, and it's because I think of it, of the impact that a human design video game could have, is to make a human design video game. So if anyone wants to work on a human design video game with me, we can do that. I'd love to have a human design video game. It'd be so fun. I'm also seeing it with like, because VR and AR are like coming online. Yeah, so definitely message me. It's still like early in ideas. I have the concept of the game. It's insane. It's like a VR game basically. But there's like steps and stages to it. And so, again, anyone that wants to or has skills to contribute, I'm definitely open to being on calls and formulating something, because that's something that I've always wanted to do, is to create a video game. Because again, like people, and the idea would be, it's not like human design the video game. It'd be like a cool video game, and then people would like join, and they'd have to like learn about human design in order to like build, right? No skills, but investment. Soulful Sadie, hello. Hello. So one of my favorite things, and I'll talk real. I have to get off here in a second so I can like reset myself before my next things. What if the game was like Divergent film? Kind of. That's kind of how I envision it. Actually, yes. Does the Ascendant and Lilith gate count in the chart? It would change things. No, correct. Yeah. So we don't include the Ascendant or the Lilith gate. We have north and south nodes that we use. But yeah, I am going to be closing off here real quick. Guru, I'll help you out. So when these are connected, essentially it's like the anxiety that you have to look for facts helps you to express those facts, and then the anxiety that you have to search for new ideas helps your stories and your voice be more stimulating. So again, anytime you have these channels, it's like that's something that you're either that you have consistent a finger pulse on. Now it also might mean that, like, for instance, if you have the 1762, it also, in a healthy way, it would mean that when you don't have the facts and you don't have the details, you just say that. You just say, I don't have the facts and details. I can't express it. The unhealthy expression of that channel is thinking that you know everything, right? That's essentially what it means. Um, but what I was gonna say is I don't know why, but I cannot buy on your site. That's weird. So Celia, if you open it up in a different browser, sometimes that's what it is. Also, if you link directly out of TikTok, I've had issues before where people aren't able to buy things because they're in, like, they linked directly out of my TikTok. So if you just go to reikimarco.com on like a different browser or one that's not linked out of TikTok, um, that might be helpful. And if not, just DM me and we'll get you helped out. Also, make sure you add like your actual email address, because when I send the report, there's going to be an email that gets sent to your email, and so you want to have access to the email that you add. Um, yeah, but okay. So what I was going to say is, in conclusion of this live, because like we hit our goals, and it's like this is the second to last day technically for my like live. I've been going live for 4 weeks, Monday to Thursday. Only missed 2 days because of very extreme circumstances, um, which were very surprising and part of my signature. But for the most part, this is like really successful. And one of the things I love the most is, like, I really love connecting with y'all, and like Jenny, Sadie, Adrian over here on YouTube. By the way, it's ripe puer, my friend. Um, all of you guys, Alexander, Tim. For those of you guys that are out there that have been like coming on regularly and not only just learning but like being super supportive, like I'm so grateful for you guys, and for all the people that are finding us for the first time as well. Cheers to you. I hope you become part of this circle, and my goal and my promise is always going to be like, I want to bring this information in a way that's accessible. My time unfortunately is not unlimited, but also fortunately is limited. And so I do have what I consider to be like a relatively high price on my time, but that's because I also want to spend time with my family and all that stuff. And we hit 50 and we're on our way to 60K, which is nuts. And so again, you guys are as much a part of bringing this message of human design to the world, and the messaging that, like, hey, you can be yourself, and in fact life will be better when you are yourself, and that there's nothing that you need to fix about yourself. Like, the messaging of human design to me is just so pure and so beautiful, and everyone needs to hear it. I think everyone needs to hear it, or at least hear it once. um we are absolutely we are absolutely killing it today, which is insane. So wild. But what I'm saying is, like, this could not happen without you guys. Literally could not happen without you guys. One of my goals that has been kind of formulating over this is whether or not I'm going to like attempt to be one of the top lives on TikTok, which I still don't know if TikTok is going to be banned, but with the things way that things can be going, I think we can get up there with like the top ASMR guys and the top streamers. I don't see anyone that is doing that. And so unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are just consuming the like streaming and ASMR and stuff like that, which to me doesn't add all that much value. And I think this could be adding more value. So basically, what I'm saying is, you guys are helping share this message, even if you're just in here, even if you're not tapping. The fact that you're here learning and open and absorbing this information, um, is just, you're doing a service to the world. So thank you. um Are manifesting generators prone to making music and being music? Not necessarily, but I think human beings, we're instruments. Human beings are instruments. So I think all humans have some form of expression, and that music and dance, singing, like you don't need an instrument to sing. You don't need paintbrushes to sing. You can just la, you can just sing. And so if you don't like your voice, great. Learn to accept your voice and then you can learn to like it. Right. But that's how we do. So value added from us and from Marco. We are a team. We are absolutely a team. You guys are awesome. I definitely have to jump off now to get ready for this next session. But I love you guys. Um, Maybe we'll see you tomorrow. But I think I might shift up the scheduling a little bit. I might do like Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. But I like this time, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So I might see you. We hit 60K, really? Amazing, guys. You guys are rock. Okay. So maybe see you tomorrow. And if I don't see you tomorrow, I will see you either on one of my random lives or next Monday. Next Monday for sure, we're going to be going live. Um, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. Thank you for all the likes. Thank you for all the shares. Thank you for all the gifts. Thank you for all the questions. I love you guys. I will see you either tomorrow or Monday or another time. Make sure you turn on the notifications. Make sure you're following if you're not. And again, of course, if you need anything human design related, sessions, reports, or the app, just visit reikimarco.com. The link is in my bio. Much love to you guys. Mahalo. Aloha. It's funny because I have the camera over here on YouTube, which I think is great because now I'm like actually looking at you guys that are here on YouTube, which I think some of you are still here. But then my screen is over there, which is really funny. Oh, look, you can see Appa on this. This has so much better quality than my phone camera, which is nuts. Which is great though, because then I could probably clip this up, which I could use help with. But anyway, peace, Adrian, and someone if you're still out there, or maybe mom if you're out there. Love you, YouTube. Thank you guys. You guys are so consistent. Much love. Catch you later. Peace.